Welcome to Pub Talk, the unofficial official craft beer podcast of Oklahoma, where we're all about the three B's, beer buddies, and bullshit. I'm Michael. With me, as always, is a man who doesn't know what this year has been doing, but can always count on a fun episode inside Marshall Brewing. Jeremy.
Hey, yo.
On today's show, we're back with another Spotlight episode, this time with Cody Driscoll from Marshall Brewing Company to talk about his craft beer journey so far. If you like what you hear today, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button wherever you're listening right now, and show us some love on social media at Pub Talk Podcast. All right, let's get into it. So first off, thank you.
Hey, thank you.
For being on the show today. We typically like to kick off the episodes with just an introduction of who you are and what you do here.
Cool. So I'm Cody Driscoll, and I'm a brewer, and I like to do a little bit of quality control here at Marshall Brewing. I've been here 1 year, September 30th. So
awesome. Yeah, right on.
Quality control, drinking the beer, is that what that is?
Drinking a lot of the beer. Start very early in the morning and just get it going. Yeah.
Oh, there you go. So we also like to start off with just kind of the story of how you got into craft beer.
So it started long before I turned 21, which I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but my girlfriend at the time, my now wife's father, he homebrewed a lot, and that kind of got me interested in making beer. And I was recently graduated from high school, and I was doing a science major, and I realized very quickly that beer and science are very, very much connected. And so I started making mead because it was the one thing I could hide in my closet without making a big brewing mess in the kitchen, so I can kind of hide it from my parents a little bit. But I didn't drink any of it until I turned 21, I promise.
Sure.
But so I started with mead, and then I started doing extract kits, and then it just kind of fell off my radar for a little bit until I graduated, or I finished TCC, and then I transferred to OSU to do a science degree, and I quickly got a job at Iron Monk Brewing Company in Stillwater. I love those guys. I was in the tap room one day, quickly after I moved there, and I ran into Dave Monks, and I just went and shook his hand. I said, hey, I would really like to get a job here. And he took a shot on me and hired me, and that was really cool. And it kind of very quickly took me from a pre-med direction to a microbiology direction at OSU, because I really wanted to focus on beer. So that's kind of in a nutshell how I got into craft beer, and I guess the rest is history. I spent 3.5 years, I think, at Iron Monk, and then once I graduated from OSU, I got a job at Angry Scotsman. I was there for about a year, or just under a year, and then I came here, fall of 2019.
Okay. Awesome. So, kind of keeping it with your degree background, how do you think that helps when it comes to the brewing process compared to the people that don't go that route, that just homebrew and then move on to brewery?
So both are great directions, but I went with the kind of the science avenue because, there's a famous saying that brewing is equal parts art and science. Mm-hmm. But my little add-on to that is the artistic side of brewing comes whenever you make a beer taste good one time or that first time, but the scientific parts whenever you have to make that same beer taste that same way 500 batches later. And that's really what kind of drives my passion is like kind of accurately and scientifically making it the same and taste a little bit better and refinement over time. So I would say that's the only thing that's different with me. It's a little bit more science driven rather than like kind of artistic driven, but both get the job done and both make really good beer, but it's just the way I kind of chose to do it.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. And kind of, I guess, keeping with that theme, we've had it said on the show, I think, a few different episodes. It's a little bit more difficult to brew the lighter, cleaner styles.
Sure.
Because you can't, hide them with adjuncts and whatnot. Do you have a favorite style to brew? Is it the cleaner styles, or do you like playing around with the crazy stuff?
So if you had asked me 4 years ago, I wanted to make the most like weird farmhouse ales, wild fermented and all that. But the more I get into it, the more I want to just make good, clean, pale lagers and make them as traditional as possible and as clean and as good as possible. So one of my favorite beers to brew here are This Land, or Munichelis, just because it really doesn't require, or it doesn't allow for much air, if any at all. So I really like to make that beer.
Right on.
So you mentioned that you've worked for Iron Monk and Angry Scotsman in here. Can you talk to us a little bit about differences between working for the different breweries and maybe the craft beer communities in the different areas in Stillwater, Oklahoma City, and here in Tulsa?
Mm-hmm. So it's really cool because, as distinct as Oklahoma City and Tulsa are, and the brewing communities are all, we're small enough to where we all kind of still know each other. Stillwater was really, really fun because it's the only brewery in Stillwater, so you're kind of in an own little island or oasis of where you're the only one making. So a lot of times you kind of feel kind of isolated, but it was a lot of fun because there was a 40-barrel brew house at Iron Monk and just making a lot of beer at one time, and just kind of making beer, mostly stilly wheat, and making beer for the college crowd. Whereas Oklahoma City is really cool because it's got great food, a lot of other breweries and all that. Angry Scotsman was a really, really cool, fun brewery, a little 10-barrel brew house, and it was fun. Sorry, I feel like I'm rambling. I'm trying to answer your question, I promise. But Angry Scotsman was really fun and eclectic. And then coming here, where we do, again, traditional step mashing and all the traditional German things, it's very different, where it takes us 8 hours to do a batch of beer, whereas, other breweries I've worked for, it's like 6 hours, to completion. So it's really a lot of fun.
Rambling's perfect for a podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't have to worry about that at all.
Talk as long as you want to. You said you listened to the Malty Joe episode. That started off at 5 hours.
Yeah.
So you've already worked at a few breweries. Do you see yourself kind of staying put in the local community here at Marshall? Do you have bigger aspirations maybe for like a national brewery?
So I just got married, and where we're at, where we're at in our life right now, we see ourselves living in Tulsa and wanting to be a part of Tulsa for at least the foreseeable future. I think it'd be really cool eventually to go work for a big brewery and kind of do quality control there or whatever. But in the meantime, I'm very, very happy here at Marshall. And Eric's really created a nice, friendly, incredible culture here, and I'm really, really happy to be a part of it.
Awesome. Let's talk a little bit about the seasonal releases here at Marshall.
Yeah.
This month we have El Cucuy and Big Jamoke. Can you talk to us a little about those two?
So I'm very excited about El Cucuy. I think this is probably the 30th pour I've had of it since it's been released.
Jealous?
Yeah.
That's 4 days for anyone keeping track.
4 days. It was a rookie number. Got to pump those numbers up. But no, this beer is double dry hopped, and the dry hop changes on it every iteration. And this year it's Sabro, Mosaic, Galaxy, and Citra.
It's freaking delicious. Sorry.
It is.
Yeah, envy.
This is kind of the beer I'm drinking a lot of right now. Any other time you catch me here in the brewery, I'm drinking either this land or Volks, and that's all I drink. But my attention's all on El Cucuy. And then, a week and a half, 2 weeks from now, whenever I think Kyle set it up for the 30th, is the Big Jamoke release.
Yep.
And it is going to be in the Bright Tank tomorrow, and it tastes really good. I took a sample of it earlier today, and it's really good. I love Big Jamoke.
Oh yeah.
Big Jamoke on cask is just something otherworldly.
Are there any plans for variants on either of those two, like you guys have done in the past?
Mm-hmm. So I think we're going to taste barrels this week on it. Lucas, one pouring taps today, he's kind of the barrel guru.
Okay.
And so I think we'll probably do some barrel variations.
Nice.
Which is really, really cool. And we did pull off 3.5 barrels, so like 100 and something gallons of El Cucuy, non-carbonated El Cucuy, non-dry hopped El Cucuy, to go into various barrels. So be looking for those in about a year.
Okay.
Big Jamoke, we may add some new things into barrels, but we do have some barrels ready for packaging, which I think I'd be lying to if I tried to tell you what they are, but I can't really remember.
Okay. Still exciting.
I'm excited.
Yeah, you asked before the show because For listeners, I'm still doing Sober October. Big Smoke might be the first one. Now that you talk about it, starting to drool a little bit. Awesome beer.
Yeah. What about so one of our favorite Marshall seasonals every year is Black Dolphin.
Oh yeah.
Is that one coming back?
I think so I'm excited because we have a non-barrel aged version of it on tap right now.
Oh.
But in terms of, I haven't seen I haven't really talked to Eric about the next couple months brewing schedule, but I'm sure we'll brew it, and I'm sure we'll throw some of it into barrels, and I think we have some barrels next door for release. But as far as that, I really do not know.
Okay.
But we do have a non-barrel age. It's called, I think, Black as Night or Dark as Night.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's Virgin Black Dolphin, and I love it. It's just a great stout.
Yeah.
Awesome beer.
Did you like the port barrel last year?
Oh, I loved it. Yeah. I can't think of a bad version I've had. There was an apple brandy that was delicious. Rum barrel. I think there was a rum barrel last year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they've all been good.
I thought it was nice that we did 12-ounce bottles last year because then I would feel better about drinking 2 of them rather than having a full bomber.
Well, you can't open the bomber and not finish it.
Right. You got to be nice. Yeah, you got to be respectful to the beer.
That helped me be a little more responsible.
Mm-hmm. So I don't think we can do an episode right now without talking about the COVID, how that's impacted things. Are you all seeing any light at the end of the tunnel? How have things been going with people coming to the tap room and stuff like that?
So Kyle, our tap room manager, has done a really good job of making people feel comfortable in the tap room, and we've been slowly kind of taking off, I don't want to say training wheels, but something kind of like that, where we put up partitions in between all the tables and all that just to make people feel as comfortable as possible. Luckily, people during this time still really like to drink, so that's awesome. So,
yes.
We saw a lot of our distribution go package heavy, bottles and cans rather than kegs, which is really cool because people are still taking our product home to drink it. Slowly starting to shift back to kegs as places start to open back up, but I think I like to think that there's a light at the end of the tunnel, but as you were saying, I think we're here for a long time.
Yeah.
We're going to be dealing with it for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you're not here, do you have a favorite beer to drink right now?
Non-Marshall beer?
Doesn't have to be.
So, this is so not cool. It probably sounds like, but I'm a big cocktail guy. So I go home and I just make, gin and tonics and, kind of getting into the tiki culture, kind of making tiki drinks and all that. But so I don't really drink a whole lot of beer at home.
Okay.
But if I had to pick a beer, my most recent beer purchase was Two Hearted.
Okay.
Bell's Two Hearted,
yeah.
Because you kind of have to. But I don't drink a whole lot of beer outside of here. I drink whiskey, wine, and cocktails.
Okay. Whiskey's a big time theme with people in the industry.
Yeah. Do you remember your first craft beer or your epiphany beer that got you focused on craft?
So I remember, again, I was, not of the legal age, but I remember sneaking a little stubby bottle of Sierra Nevada Pale Ale.
Right on.
And that was kind of like God, this is bitter. What in the hell is wrong with this? And then, then I had the second one, and I was like, okay, I'm on board with this. But no, so I'd probably say Sierra Nevada Pale Ale, as so many others I'm sure have said before. And then Old Rasputin.
Oh, love it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good one.
Because, you get into craft beer and then you want to find the biggest, baddest thing. And I was leveled with Old Rasputin. I was like, whoa, what in the hell was that? But no, it was probably Old Rasputin and Sierra Nevada Pale Ale.
Right on. So two of our early ones as well.
So was Sierra Nevada, was that the first one on the show? We didn't air? Was that what we had?
I believe it was Sierra Nevada Pale Ale. Yeah.
That's crazy.
It was just a Sierra Nevada beer. I just don't remember if it was. It's like I drank a bunch. Do we have any other?
covered all that.
Okay. Well, before we wrap it up, do you have any other thoughts you want to throw out there or anything like that?
Not that I can really think of.
Okay. Any upcoming events or releases other than Big Jamoke that we should know about?
I think Big Jamoke's October 30th or November. I can't remember the day, but yeah, just El Kakui right now. Big Jamoke coming up. Hopefully we can twist Kyle's arm into getting the cask engine back up and running, so we can do cask Big Jamoke because that's where it's at.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
As far as events go, I don't really know of anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right on.
Well, thanks again for coming on the show and chatting with us.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. That's going to do it for another episode of Pub Talk. Thanks again to Cody for coming on the show. And make sure you go check out El Kakui. This year's batch is particularly delicious. And be on the lookout for Big Jamoke coming up here in a couple weeks. Find us on the web at pubtalkpodcast.com and on social media at pubtalkpodcast. And as always, folks, never forget there's nothing in life too big or hard you can't handle it over a few beers with your good friends. Until next time, just chill till the next episode.